come a long way. From 2015 to 2025, it has been a phenomenal journey, a beautiful journey, and I think a very progressive journey. But it's a still long way to go.
We need some more time before we become a large cell manufacturer in India. But there are so many other things which can be done in a better way around pack manufacturing itself.
100%.
You can have a better machinery, you can have better technology alliances, you can have better terms and conditions with your partners.
Even though the government is making whatever efforts they can, I think all the companies should have certain amount of R&D in-house.
Right.
You cannot be having a trader mindset anymore.
Are we getting grade A cells from source market?
Everything is available.
Right.
How much you want to pay for it and how much your customer is ready to pay for it and which market segment you want to operate is the question.
Welcome to the very special episode of TPSS on battery manufacturing market in India. Thank you very much, Rashi ji, for joining this session. Rashi ji is also on Council of Engineers for Energy Transition, IEC, BIS, and UL certifications. I'm glad that you agreed for being on my show, and I'm really very much excited to discuss so many things to you.
Thank you, Preetesh ji, इस शो पे बुलाने के लिए आपका बहुत-बहुत धन्यवाद.
Thank you. Rashi ji, as you are known famously or fondly, the Batterywali of India, right? So it's a really, I'm very curious about knowing more about it, more about your journey, how everything started, and it's a male dominant and highly technical field, and being a woman, how you decided to be part of this and journey till now.
Good question. I mean, this is one question I'm asked on every show. But this is the only reason. This is a male-dominated field, and I am the first pioneer female or woman in this entire battery sector.
Yes.
And when I started in 2015, there was no single female in this sector. Everyone used to be like, ये कहाँ से छोटी सी लड़की आ गई कुछ करने के लिए, कुछ कर भी लेगी नहीं कर लेगी, कोई कॉन्फिडेंस नहीं था किसी को. Nobody would believe in me. It was a tough time at that, and then back then. But that is what got me my nickname, moniker, or whatever you call it, as Batterywali of India. And this went globally, not just in India. People globally also know me as the battery queen in India. So they talk to me like that.
Right.
This is how I earned it. In 2015, nobody was talking about lithium, and I was the one who got lithium with active balancing, IoT-based systems into the batteries, and I got the world's smartest battery in India. World's smartest lithium battery in India. I mean, when you talk about it to people, they were like, how is a battery going to be smart? So with all of those things together, I got this. And when I used to go out in the field, talk to people, tell them, pitch them, and they would be like, अरे वो बैटरी वाली को बोलो, वो लड़की आती है ना बैटरी वाली, वो बता देगी. So that is how people started calling me with that name. And then I had no clue about it. One fine day when I just called up my doctor and he said, हाँ बैटरी वाली बोलो. And I'm like, excuse me, I have a name. Why did you calling me battery वाली? I mean, I'm not supposed to pitch batteries to you, right? And then he showed me that my name was flashing as Batterywali throughout. And I said, okay, I'm welcoming this love, affection, and respect that the industry is giving me. So I took that nickname.
It's a kind of appreciation, right?
Yeah.
What people recognized and gave this name to you.
Yes.
Not you decided your name as Batterywali.
No, right. I never did that.
Yeah. When I see your LinkedIn profile, I find it like Batterywali. So
yeah.
So it's really amazing.
Easier for people to recognize now, and I said, okay, I welcome that.
Right. You talked about like 2015. I think 2015, 2013, 14, 15 is a very interesting time in the entire, if I can say, energy sector in India, and then electric vehicles and batteries, falls within that. Rashi ji, I remember going to several organizations and talking about batteries when initiative started around 2014-15. And the companies, used to answer like, can we get anode and cathode within 2 weeks? So that was the level of understanding of India as a nation that point in time.
Yeah.
And I think progress has been phenomenal. But I want you to really talk about on timeline basis that how India has progressed and how could you think about 2000 batteries, that to lithium ion battery in 2015. So your initiatives as well as the how industry has progressed and what we have achieved. Obviously, we will talk about choices and challenges and everything during next 48 minutes, but to begin with that.
I think we have come a long way. From 2015 to 2025, it has been a phenomenal journey, a beautiful journey, and I think a very progressive journey. But it's a still long way to go
Right.
as yet.
Agreed.
And in my case, what I see is I started with the small storages of 5 kilowatts and so. And then my portfolio kept on growing up to 90 megawatt hours. And it's like, when we started at that time, nobody understood what lithium was.
Yes.
They only understood lead acid batteries.
Yes.
People would go to an extent to short the positive and negative terminal of the battery and say, "Arey, ye to chalta hi nahi hai." It used to be so difficult to make them spark nahi hua na, to battery chalti nahi hai.
Right.
That was the attitude way back in 15 when people used to talk about batteries because they only understood lead acid. Acha, isme pani nahi dalna hai? That would be the question people would come up to me and say. And I was like, no, these are absolutely maintenance free. They would last you 10 years. Arey, jhoot bol rahi ho, 10 saal chalegi. I'm like, chalegi.
Right,
And you know what? Till date, the first installation that we did back in 2015 is still functional after 10 years.
Oh my God.
Yes, it's still working fine. It's not reached its end of life as yet.
Incredible.
Yeah, and we were asking the customer to give it back to us. Maybe we can give him an upgrade or something. But he's like, nahi, abhi chal rahi, abhi hume nahi wapas karni. So, when things are robust, they are made with good quality, they are made effective with safety, it works.
Right.
And over this period of time, people did not know what kind of inverters to use because I started with the ESS segment.
Right.
That time EVs were a distant dream.
Yes.
And what I did was I got my entire material handling equipments and the internal transport things shifted to EVs. And those times, now you have L3, L5 and all these, cargo handling vehicles coming in, electric vehicles. My time, it was only e-rickshaws. So I took the chassis of the e-rickshaws, I converted them into material handling things, and I put my own batteries into that because at that time used to get them with lead acid only. So when my these electric vehicles used to go for collection of materials, बोलते अरे ये तो गांव वाला टुक-टुक आ गया. People used to tell me अरे गांव वाला टुक-टुक आ गया, and I was like हाँ, गांव भी अब शहर बसेगा ना, तो अब गांव वाला टुक-टुक आ गया. So I used to tell them that, and people used to be very excited seeing that on the roads, and like kitna deti hai was the next question I used to get. What is the mileage, what is the efficiency, and what is the price per kilometer you get out of these EVs at that point of time. So for me, since my homegrown batteries were there and then there were e-rickshaws, so and less than 25 kilometers because that's what you used to get at that time.
Right.
So when I considered all that, it was 16-17 paisa for me. So that gave me a phenomenal mileage in terms of my profits as well, in terms of material handling, and I could contribute to the climate as well because I was not polluting.
Right.
So this was it was a very conscious decision that I took. And then when you just can't preach, you got to practice and preach, right?
Correct.
So when I was doing this, I was also giving a silent message. Most of my meetings in 15, 16 and 17, I used to go in the e-rickshaw.
Oh, nice.
We used to drive all around Mumbai in the e-rickshaw saying that, okay, I'm promoting it. I'm promoting electric.
Right.
And then with active balancing and IoT based in our batteries inbuilt, we could monitor each and every cell.
Rashi, can you elaborate a little bit about on the active balancing and IoT based?
Now, what is active balancing and passive balancing? Okay, now there is a video on YouTube also on my on our channel of Vision Mechatronics. You can have a look at that. But still, I'll just explain. When you are charging and discharging the batteries, at that particular moment, if you can balance between the two cells inside the battery pack, it is active.
Oh.
During charging and discharging. Yeah. And what happens in passive is when the battery is in the idle condition, at that time the balancing takes place. So that is passive balancing. And during 2015, there was only passive balancing that was
Yeah,
available.
that's why I
Yeah,
wanted to know
so,
more.
and when we bought an active balancing, our active balances are up to 10 amps of current, which is huge.
Yes.
When you balance to, now there is
Yes.
multiple types of balancing. Now when you go a little more in the deeper in active balancing, what you do have is inside the pack, between the cells, between the packs, and between the batteries.
Oh.
So like one of our hybrid energy storage systems at, this is again ESS at Om Shanti Retreat Center in Gurgaon, that has all the three types of balancings.
Oh.
Within the pack, within the pack, between the packs, and between the batteries.
Within the pack, between the packs, as
And
well as
between the batteries.
between the batteries.
Yeah, so when you do that, when you do this active balancing, you actually enhance your battery life and battery efficiency, as well as the depth of discharge of the battery. All the three aspects you enhance, and you can at least get 30 to 40% more out of your battery.
Right, right.
So that gives, now if you use that in EVs, you get an extra mileage.
Right.
You use that in ESS, you get more life
Right.
cycles. So it's if you look at it, it's value for money.
Yeah, I mean that 2015, 16, 17, let's say, thinking about active balancing itself was, I think, a unique idea.
Absolutely.
Because majority of the battery companies, I must say, that is still, focusing on just somehow bringing the cells and doing the pack manufacturing, not bringing a
Not
lot
even
of
that
R&D
much at that time.
insights.
Pritesh ji, all this started in 2020, 22, post-COVID, all this took up a lot.
So this idea came from your R&D team, or this was your own idea? How did you do that?
No, what happened was I was in Germany.
Okay.
And at that time, I was under a B2B, B2G and B2B kind of an exchange program by the government of Germany. And I was the only female selected out there in this tech role. And then, when I went there, I realized that India really needs these batteries. I had actually gone to look at something in solar. But I just realized that solar is a very saturated market abroad. So in India also, it will become a saturated market.
Right.
And I have been a niche player. Coming from a robotics background, I have been a very niche player. So for me, it was very important to keep my niche, stay niche, and create something very unique and valuable around the ecosystem in the climate space where I can give back to the society. And that's when I found this company where I thought, okay, that this collaboration is going to make sense. I pitched them my idea and they said yes. And you know what, Preetesh ji? Within 2 hours, this deal was done.
Within 2 hours?
2 hours. A German company said yes in 2 hours.
Very fast decision.
Yes, that is written in the history that this girl came from India and she just changed the whole landscape in Germany. And then, and today we are even exporting to Germany, US, and even any other European markets as well.
Yeah, building that kind of confidence with investor or with the technology company which is going to support you, really amazing.
Yeah,
right?
it was not easy, but then things just happened in place, and I
sometimes things just happen. Yes.
Yeah, and I did give it my best that I could.
Right,
yeah.
right. Okay, so bringing our focus back on the current status of battery manufacturing in India. When I say the battery manufacturing, I mean to say particularly lithium-ion battery manufacturing. Sure. There are so many claims about, if you do a long listing of companies, there are so many companies which pop up and claim that they are doing this, at least the pack manufacturing, not the cell manufacturing in India. There are schemes also supporting India to be self-reliant or Atmanirbhar Bharat. So what's your opinion about the current status of battery, lithium-ion battery manufacturing in India? Just if you can give your
I think
thoughts.
we should step up our game. Really, very seriously, I'm saying this. Most of the people in India think that just getting the cells, putting the strips on it, welding them, or bus bars, what you call them, just welding them, and then just putting some monitoring circuit will make it a battery. Then I say no. This is not the way you make a battery.
Right.
And okay, and is it really safe? Is that battery going to be safe? We have seen so many battery fires in the EVs today. So many of them. There are multiple reasons for that. I mean, not just safety, but here in this, what are you compromising? What is the value of a human life that is being compromised? There have been deaths in this case.
Right.
Entire showrooms have blown up.
Yes.
What amount of investment has gone out?
Right.
And the life of the people.
Right.
I mean, how much would you value your own self? If you are lost in the battery fire, what remains? Is the question each one of us should ask ourselves. What
Right.
remains? So I think we have to step up our game. Number one, in terms of having more indigenous manufacturing, more indigenous designs, we have to stop the copy paste business. We have done that enough.
Yes.
And if we don't do that now, we will lose out on being the next most important EV destination and the ESS destination.
Right.
Because even though the government is putting up a lot of schemes, say PLI schemes, in
Right.
fact, government has slashed the EV import duties from 110 to 15%.
15%.
Then it has, in fact, in this budget also, there was an exemption on the plant and machinery that you would
Yes.
get for the
Yeah.
machinery that you can get for battery manufacturing. So
Right.
now it is important that we understand what are our strengths.
Right.
If our strengths are not cell making, okay, I agree, we are not there as yet to make cells, but if our strength is not cell making, then can we make good effective packs which are made in India for the world? We can do that, right?
Yeah.
So the thing is, how will you effectively make a pack which is safe, which is robust, which is going to withstand India's climatic conditions,
Right.
which is going to make a significant difference in terms of the price sensitive market that India
Right.
is. India is. So, and how would you actually innovate in that segment?
Right.
I mean, chemistry innovation everybody talks of. But beyond the chemistry innovation, there are still innovation in terms of packs, in terms of cooling, in terms of avoiding thermal runaway, in terms of making a very robust BMS, in terms of having the data analytics there, in terms of having serviceability. There are so many aspects where India can innovate, where India can make it right at the forefront. We have brilliant talent pool. We have the few of the best minds in the world. I mean, we can go and work for other countries, but why not keep the skill and retain it in our own country?
Right. Right.
I had a lot of opportunities to go abroad and settle, and I said, no, I want to do it for my country. And I mean, with all the patriotism that you would call it, I want to be here in my country, do a difference to my country. Because India, time is now.
Yeah.
It's
India's
not in future, it was not in the past, it's now.
It's now.
And we need all the, young ones, the next generations to come up, step up their game and be in this sector. This sector is not just going to give you good money returns, but is also going to be a sector that you want to be in for your next generations to look after. Because if you don't do it now, there'll not be another next generation existing for it.
Right.
We are dealing with climate fury every day in, day out, and we need to be here for energy storage. We need to be here with the EVs, and that is when things will change.
Right.
So India needs to step up the game now.
Yeah, that's very, very important actually. You bring out two things. One, let's say we need some more time before we become a large cell manufacturer in India. But there are so many other things which can be done in a better way around pack manufacturing itself.
100%.
You can have a better machinery, you can select better chemistry, you can have better technology alliances, you can have better terms and conditions with your partners. And also, so I'll just talk about my, understanding about it. I think, as you said, there is no scarcity of the people. There is no scarcity of the mindset. Not mindset, but I mean the people who have the capability of doing it. But I think if you look at the EV market, ESS, we will deep dive later. The EV market, the companies or the battery manufacturers which came in the beginning, mostly were focused around, I think, doing some sort of thing and making a pack out of it. And the biggest missing point, what I could see is the absence of, let's say it's a promoter driven company, but promoter itself have limited technical understanding, and they, let's say, have limited focus on R&D, because government has been just enabler of it. They can't put R&D engineers, they can't make your organization structure which is more and more putting investments on R&D, but they can be just enabler, right? Just facilitator who is able to facilitate things. But do you think the mindset or thought behind putting a strong R&D team with some investments has been one of the reasons? and also just looking this business as a money making business?
So when I started way back in 2015, at that time, I realized that whatever comes from Europe doesn't fit in India. It just doesn't fit in India. What we need to understand and do is that we need to customize it for our environment, because the technology has an impact on environment and environment has an impact on technology.
Wow.
And both need to be evaluated very well. If you don't
Yes.
evaluate these correctly, either the product will fail or you will have too much of maintenance and service support to deal with.
Right.
And I'll tell you what, I realized one thing, that I need to make products so robust that my service team sits idle. And they literally sit idle. Because of the preventive predictive monitoring that we have across all the batteries that we provide, it's very easy for us to predict what's going to go wrong with the batteries, or when there is an anomaly and when you need to take action. So what happens is, R&D is very important. Or at least if I don't say a full-fledged R&D, a continuous innovation, a continuous upgradation to your technology, to your product makes a lot of sense. And you need to keep doing that. What happens is, when one product goes into the cash cow mode, you tend to forget it. Arey, chal raha hai na, ho jayega na. But no, that is not the right way.
Right.
As an entrepreneur, you need to keep upgrading and innovating. And every 2 years, we have a new product in the market. Every 2 years, we come up with something new, whether it is in EV space, in ESS space, something or the other way there with something new, some innovation, some upgradation. So I think, even though the government is making whatever efforts they can, I think all the companies should have certain amount of R&D in-house.
Right.
You cannot be having a trader mindset anymore, or
Right.
an assembler mindset anymore. That is not going to make India the next superpower.
Right.
And if we want India to be the next superpower, what we need to do is, we need to change our mindset. We need to change the mindset in terms of having more and more research, development, innovation, and a talent retention in our own country. That will make India the next superpower.
Correct.
Money will keep flowing, no doubt
Right,
about
right.
it. Money will flow. We will have all the resources that we want, the policy, the finances, everything will come in picture. But if these 4 things are not taken care of, India will become the next superpower, but a little late. And we got to do it faster, right?
And yeah, that is true, because absence of R&D really makes it very difficult to persuade the larger organizations. So for example, let us take the example of any passenger car manufacturer in India. I am sure every one of them wants to procure batteries from Indian companies in India. That is more aligned with what we as a nation want to achieve as part of our manufacturing import dependence, energy security, and all those things. And also everybody wants to secure the supply chain if that is present in India. And I am sure they are making efforts to achieve that. But I think when they, I'm not sure, but if they are going to kind of have discussions with maybe Indian battery manufacturers who are targeting maybe the passenger cars, they will quickly identify the value proposition what we have. I have seen the component manufacturers in India pitching only with 2 things, that we have a lot of land availability, we have connects with the customers, we have access to the networks what we have in India, as well as and nowadays we have money. So, but
Where
in
is the
this,
tech?
yeah, but in this entire entire game, that the tech is missing. So initially these companies actually thought that they will bring the technology from outside by their existing value proposition, but nobody is there to give the technology. And then at the same time, building the technology takes a decade minimum. So I think we are in a very messy situation. That is why no auto car manufacturer is sourcing packs from, I must say, cells not from India, even sometimes packs from India. All cells are supplied with support, technical support to Indian pack manufacturers here. So until or unless a strong R&D team is there, I think it's going to be really, really difficult.
There are 2-3 factors to this. One is definitely the R&D. Without R&D, you will not be able to make it, because each auto manufacturer, a 4-wheeler, 2-wheeler, 3-wheeler, whoever
Sorry to
it is.
interrupt you, but how we are going to do this R&D? Let's say putting that kind of investment, that kind of time, You talked about like bright minds, top educational institutions. I have visited those educational institutions. They're working at very surface level, honestly
know.
speaking, at this point in time.
Yeah.
So whether the education system is also going to support this, how much time it is going to take? It's going to take so much time, right? And all technological evolutions are happening very fast in outside markets, especially China.
Yeah. Okay, now let me answer these three questions together. You've just put me in that kind of a situation now. Okay, let me tell you. Number one, first is without R&D and educational institution support, it's not going to work.
Yes.
Very clear. Second, without the economies of scale, it is not going to work.
Oh.
Okay, and third is with the correct kind of talent we need, and the correct kind of courses
Yes.
which bridge the gap between industry and academia, then this is going to work. So what we need to today do is focus on skill development. Why? Because if you don't have the right kind of talent pool, you will not be able to do R&D. You'll not be able to achieve economies of scale. So everything is interlinked. And what you need to achieve now is, and you know what? This is the right time. It will not take time.
Okay.
Because
this is interesting to know.
I'll tell you why it will not take time, because technology has evolved a lot. And we are very good at what we have been doing is the copy paste. Okay. Okay, we're good at that. Now
that is also good thing. Yeah.
It's a good thing. See, you have to look at the half glass full or the half glass empty.
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm looking at the half glass full, and we are good at copy paste. So what we need to do is we can get inspired, okay, and we can make our own tech. It's not difficult, and thanks to the new AI revolution, we can really make it fast.
Yeah.
But the most important factor is the mindset. Until and unless the mindset changes, this is not going to change.
Right.
And something that I'm noticing now is that between the entrepreneurs of the previous generations and even my generation or the previous ones and the upcoming young budding entrepreneurs that are coming, there's a vast difference in the way they think.
Is that so?
Yes, it's a very different way of approaching things. And they want results quick. I mean, look at us. We are talking of 10 years and 12 years. They're like, now, within 1 year, what you can give me is what I'm looking at. And they will find the ways and means to bring this tech made in India, for India, as well as for the world, something which is safe, robust, very fast.
Right.
And we have to be a supporting medium to them.
Correct.
We can lead the race. We can be in the race, but we have to bring them in the race.
Correct.
Because that is when the true diversity and inclusion of all the aspects will come.
Right.
Because they are the ones who have to lead the race after we will hand it. It's a relay race, each one of us plays, right? So that relay race will be handed over to them. So we have to prepare them, we have to include them, and we have to make them lead the race.
100%. You mentioned about economies of scale. I think that is, that is commonly used. It has become a generic word. I think everywhere we talk about economies of a scale, but it's one of the most important thing for any industry. And that is true for the electric vehicle or energy storage or the battery industry also. And if that is supported by local R&D in whatever capacity India can achieve, I think that's going to be a really good thing. But at the same time, how we are going to achieve the economies of scale? If I talk about mobility sector or maybe energy storage together, then once we have more and more vehicles on the road, then there will be more and more demand, and the price drops or price cuts you can get from the manufacturers. How do you see Indian EV industry evolving in future? Do you see rapid growth happening in future? Then I will link that question with the battery pricing.
You're going to put me on a spot, right? Okay. So what I see here is that EVs are going to stay, hybrids are going to stay, and even the ICE is going to stay.
Okay.
But what is going to change is the market dynamics around each one of these and the market share that each one holds. EVs are definitely penetrating. They are picking up very well. And I see that they are going to stay here. They're not going anywhere.
Okay.
Now, thing is that we need to make them more robust, more safe. When we make them more safe, we will have more adoption of EVs. And we have to make them more, you have to give them more choices to the consumer.
Correct.
There are, I mean, in four-wheelers, there are limited choices, but now with the slashing of the import duties, it is now an open market for the global players to, step in and step up the EV game. And I really think that this is going to make a very significant impact on the adoption of EVs by reducing the import duties in the, by 110 to 15. And I think EVs are here to stay in the long run because they have a climate impact. Almost every state today has an EV policy.
Yeah.
There is a lot of education that is happening at each layer.
Yeah.
Whether it is the DISCOM who has to give the charging connection, whether it is the dealer, distributor, whether it is the consumer. In fact, many of these four-wheel segments have come with a buyback policy. They have come with battery as a service policy. People are looking at second life. People are looking at recycling. So this entire ecosystem is now growing. And when the ecosystem is growing, it is going to flourish and thrive.
Okay.
So I'm pretty sure of that. Now coming to your most critical question of the battery pricing, which I'm asked on almost every interview and show. Because see, battery pricing has dropped to quite an extent from what we were 2 years back to what we are now. There's a significant drop. There has been a constant oversupply. People are understanding chemistries better now. And people are also understanding what works for which climate. Very important. And I've always been an advocate of LFP throughout my journey of last entire decade, I can say. That
mainly because of safety?
I think for India, the techno-commercial sense is LFP. But I would not disregard NMC anyway. It's a beautiful chemistry. It's a fantastic chemistry suitable for the EV segment in the two-wheeler space. Could be even in the three-wheeler space. But if you look at the four-wheeler buses, I think LFP makes sense. And then if you go further, you could even have LTO there in the bus space. I think these would make sense. But what I understand is the prices have dropped. And if we look into making it in India in the coming years and have a recycling ecosystem to get back our critical minerals for the new production, I think we have hit the bullseye.
Right. Yeah, I mean, my intention was not to get any number because those numbers keep changing around, if you calculate
per kilowatt hour, which is the most important. Kitna deti hai na, kitna per kilowatt hour.
That is important. So, like businesses have been, sometimes around second life of battery. If you try to build a business model, let's say 5 years back, it was not sustainable.
No.
Because battery price fluctuations were happening like anything. But in 2020-21 onwards, again there was a
rise and then drop.
And then very significant drop. Since last 2 years, I think there is a huge drop.
Yes.
So two questions I want to ask: why that drop, and what are the reasons of that drop? Is it like scale from where we are getting the cells, or technology breakthroughs what we have got from those markets? Or it's like overproduction, oversupply? What are the reasons? Why I am asking this? These are very important to understand if the pricing trends are going to be similar in next 5 years. If they are going again change drastically, then today if you are buying on $60, $50, and tomorrow you have to buy on $100. Today you are making a second life battery plan or recycling. It really makes a lot of challenge.
Yeah.
So first, reasons of the battery price drop, and do you foresee another 5 years similar trend, maybe chemistry wise or anything?
Okay. So the reason for the price drop was mainly because of oversupply. Then of course, why was there an oversupply?
Yes.
Because you perfected technology, you could forecast demands everywhere. And there was this geopolitical stress that came after COVID,
Right.
which led to this oversupply.
Hmm.
Now, what happens is when there's a lot of oversupply, obviously price drops because whatever is available, you need to sell it off and close the chapters. There were times where the mines had to be shut down for a few days. Lithium mines across the world had to be shut down for a few days just because there was so much oversupply.
I'm sorry, I'm just interrupting.
Yeah.
It's like, is this oversupply, when you say uh, does this have any link with slowing demands also across the globe? Because these producers are definitely taking such things in account, right? Because they are globally expanding, they are supplying globally. So they will not only calculate their demand forecast based on one country, or so they will do it collectively and supply from their mother plant or mother location. So there was a drop in sales of the different markets, or it's just geopolitical. It's confusing. So if you can clarify more.
Okay, so I'll tell you how this all is
Yeah,
interwoven
please,
to
please.
what I have
Yeah.
interpreted the whole thing as. When you were at just, when you are supplying to all the markets, you collect demand of each and every market, and what you see is, okay, this XYZ have demands, I club it and I start my production.
Right.
And this is not a one day production that
Yes.
today I say and tomorrow I give you the anode, cathode, and
Yeah,
like
yeah.
you said in the beginning, 10 days mein anode de do bhai, mere ko 10 din mein cathode de do, nahi hota hai. It's not possible.
Right.
So there's an entire supply chain and there's a time to that supply chain. Now, nobody had anticipated such a strong geopolitical action to take place in this segment. And we all know how the entire supply chain, or even, the production and manufacturing is concentrated in our neighbors. So, and there were a lot of sanctions, lot of actions being taken, and that actually impacted the outgoing from the country. Now what happens is there's a stock. Now you have to reroute it from somewhere else, so that takes time.
Right.
And then what happens is people are like, oh, what is the country of origin? Oh, okay, then I can't take that. No, it's not possible. So somewhere it has to be camouflaged, somehow it has to come through another route, and then it has to be, somehow
Right.
siphoned off.
Right.
So when you try to do this, it takes time. And that gap nobody anticipated. That is why there was an oversupply. Now when there was an oversupply, the price dropped. And there was a substantial oversupply because of not anticipating these kind of actions that could have happened.
Right.
And this led to shutting down of mines for considerable amount of time because they cannot just afford to produce any more critical minerals. What do you do?
Right.
So this oversupply has led to a price drop, but it may not remain like this.
Yeah, that's what I wanted to clarify.
It may not remain like this, again, given the geopolitical situation. So geopolitical situation is a double-edged sword.
Right.
One side, yeah.
And I think it's not only with India, it's with many other
Other
geographies.
countries.
That is why this led to the overproduction, because demand estimation was based on so many other nations, so many other.
It just amplified, with
target
all
markets.
nations. When you take the demand of all nations and when you can't supply to almost all nations, it becomes a big challenge.
Right.
So the whole thing just amplified.
Right.
When it can amplify the supply, it can also amplify the demand.
Yeah. Rashiji, you understand the problems or the challenges, I should call challenges, not the problems, with Indian EV sector. Are we getting grade A cells from source market, or I want to understand, because let's say we talked about, India can focus more on pack manufacturing. There are so many things. Even I was just doing the estimation before when I was preparing for this interview, and I was just checking what are the pack prices in terms of percentage. So they are sometimes in between 20 to 30%, the historical number from public domain which I took. So 30% value addition we are doing in India. On that we can keep focusing. But what we are getting as cell is also very, very important, because if there are, let's say, too many companies making batteries in India or packs in India, all of them are not going to focus on just quality, because there are so many applications also in which you can manage with the quality. Accidents happen, and I think there are no strict countermeasures put after even after the accidents, and companies saying that yes, accidents are bound to happen. Even I did the analysis, everywhere these battery fires have happened. So my question to you is whether we are taking the A grade, B grade, what kind of cells are we getting from the other markets?
Well, जितना पैसा दोगे उस क्वालिटी का सामान लोगे.
वो मिलता है, right?
Absolutely.
It's not that only B grade cells are being pushed to India. Everything is on table, depends on what you buy.
What you want.
Okay.
Yeah,
That
you
is
can
good.
get.
That is
I mean, like, I have not had a single battery fire. I've not had a single warranty claim in last so many years.
understood. So
I never compromised on quality because for me, getting A grade cells was the primary.
if
agenda.
somebody is looking for A grade cells, definitely we can access
you
this.
can. Everything is available.
Right.
How much you want to pay for it and how much your customer is ready to pay for it and which market segment you want to operate is the question.
And also now the neighboring country, I mean China, is expanding to other markets very fast, right?
Very
Globally.
fast.
So they are having technology licensing, they are having technology partnerships and finding a way to be there in other global markets. Other global markets are also mainly dependent on them, and I think we must appreciate them for building such large scale.
They had a vision 10 years back.
Yeah.
We did not have that vision.
Yeah.
It's okay.
Yeah, that's perfectly fine.
Yeah.
They must get the credit. In that sense, let's say there are technology licensing or technology collaborations now happening with Indian companies.
Yes.
So, are those technology licensing, what is happening is with their latest technologies, or what is phasing out in other developed markets or in China, are given to Indian companies? In many of the cases I have seen this. For example, let's say any company which makes up, let's say, throttle body or any component. So when it starts selling less in domestic market, or they have better technology in domestic market, so they push that to emerging markets. So is that the case with technology licensing or these collaborations with batteries, or like we are getting the latest technology?
Well, you have put me in a big fix here.
But
I'll answer the question is again with the similar statement that are you willing to pay for the newer technologies? They come at a price.
Okay.
Though they are very rarely available, difficult to access, practically inaccessible, but possible. So the thing is, and is your market ready to accept the newer technologies? Like I have graphene.
Right. That is also very, very important.
Is your market ready for that? And why do you think people push the exiting technologies to emerging markets? Because your market is not ready.
Market is not ready.
Market will take time. By the time the market matures to accept the new technology, they will be next step. They will be on the next newer tech will be matured in the developed markets.
Correct. So Rashi ji, my question, one more question about battery management systems. I think BMS, in the perspective of electric vehicles only, I am talking at this point in time. BMS is also very important. In many of the cases, the battery manufacturer has its own BMS, which is integrated and it works perfectly with their own system. So, do you think indigenous BMS can play a very big role in reducing the battery fires, improving the battery life, and making the entire ecosystem more efficient?
110%.
And where India is at this point in time, because many of the companies claim that they have the capability to make BMSs, and there are educational institutions, they say they have made BMSs. So what is the true picture at current situation, and how it can impact, and how much India should push for it?
India should put 300, 500% for it. Definitely do it. There are multiple aspects to this. Number one is, like when I started with BMS manufacturing in 2015 in India, there was nobody doing that.
2015?
I have an own homegrown indigenous BMS since a long time in India, 10 years now. Okay, and not just a low voltage, but even a high voltage, up to 1500 volts, indigenous, made in India, designed in India, developed in India, and for India. What happens is, BMS is the brain of your battery. If your brain doesn't work properly, your hands and legs will not function properly.
Right.
And so what happens is, if you don't have an indigenous software, if you don't have understanding of how the behavioral pattern of the battery usage is going to be, you will not be able to make the robust battery in the country. So BMS is very, very important. In fact, I'll tell you, India is the first nation globally to write a battery management system standard.
Wow. I was not aware about it.
Exactly. India is the first one. BIS has published the first global battery management system standard.
And I'm sure you were part of that committee.
I was sharing that, yes.
So many things to talk, but yeah, I think BMS is really very, very important.
Very crucial, very crucial. And 90% of the failures happen when BMS fails. So if you want to avoid fires, if you want to have safety, if you want to have efficiency, if you want to have robustness, if you want to have the maximum energy out of your battery, get a good BMS. And make one in India, like I do.
And that's possible, right?
100%. I've been doing that for 10 years. If I can do it, others can do it too.
Oh, amazing.
With the least resources, being a bootstrapped company, being debt-free company, if I'm trying to do all of that,
Right.
I think anyone else can do it for sure.
Really encouraging talk, Rashi ji. Thank you very much. I was always excited to have you on my show. I hope people are going to like a lot. Just last concluding remarks from you, because many people, especially females working in this domain, are inspired by you. So how they can follow your work? How can they get some advice and inputs from you in case they need?
Anyone can reach me out on LinkedIn, Batterywali. Just go out on LinkedIn. That's the only social media I'm there, and I'm available, and I respond to all the messages that I get. Something that women in this domain need very specifically to do is upgrade yourself. Keep continuously upgrading yourself, improve your skill sets, and treat yourself and see yourself as a professional first, without the gender lens. Once you do that, things will change. People will see you as you see yourself.
Yeah.
And that will bring more women and girls to this sector. And we need a lot of clean feminine energy in this sector.
100%. I agree.
And this whole world will transform, making India the next superpower. Are you ready to be a part of the next superpower is the question to answer.
Thank you very much, Rashi ji. Thank you very much for watching. Stay tuned for next episode. Thank you very much.